Hello.
We're back,
Uh, Cool.
ready to go live. I think we're live already.
Yeah.
Live already. 1 second. Lock the door. I gotta lock the door. My dad is coming. We are. It's complete lockdown in Ho Chi Minh right now.
Wow. That's unfortunate. In Sri Lanka also, it's same, but India better. But I think it's a disaster waiting for happen unless we are not careful.
All right. I think we're live. Hi everyone. How we doing? Do
I'm
we have
good.
well, give me 1 second here. We have 15 people viewings. That's pretty good. Hi guys. So welcome to the first sort of like a webinar we're doing, in which I want to do a little more casual style in terms of introducing, doing this, because as we were working on this for a while, and I find that I always try to do something so serious, over the time, over the course, since the beginning of our first webinar. And I realized that I keep doing this 1.5 hours talk show alone by myself and talking to the computer. So I figured I wanted to kind of bring in a little bit of a different scenario here, where we got a guest coming, and I think many of you know Alston Antony. He's a very sort of well-known guy throughout the lifetime deal community, meet group of some of the of major groups from lifetime deal community, as well as I think a great guys, to be hang around with. And I mean, I talked to Alston last time when we were kind of discussing a partnership, sort of. I want to reach out to his advice on building, upgrading our knowledge base, because after reviewing, since the first time he comments on our post, a long, very long comments, sending me a really long 2 pages email, um, of how things are going, what I should improve on my tools and all that stuff. Really well elaborate content. And I thought, man, this guy is great, even though he doesn't seem like he like our tool that much yet. So hopefully we can convert him over the time. So it takes me, the second time we were talking for an hour. I think we were booking for half an hour, but then we talked for an hour, and I realized how amazing and cool this guy is, and how he is on a mission to sort of create a community that to learn more better about SEO, all the fundamental, the basics, and he want to give it almost for free away and helps others to kind of grow in this journey, to really achieve better things in terms of doing SEO together. So I mean, great guy. So welcome, Alston. Welcome to the first webinar for us. And thank you to being here. Really, it's great to know you.
And just to have a small disclaimer, I paid Daniel $5 to say all the good things about me. So it's everything. He has done it perfectly.
That's not true. It's not $5. It was 500. I did.
Nah.
That's too cheap.
Crazy. And it's true. It's true. When I first tested writers, and as I told Daniel also, like whenever a lifetime deal gets launched on lifetime deal spaces, when it comes to SEO, I will be the first person probably to test it, because I have a personal interest in my work itself. So initially I tested writers in. I refunded it immediately because I couldn't understand what it was doing. But you wouldn't believe me how many messages I got. Like after 1 month, you guys been on a lifetime deal asking, Alston, why haven't you check out this product? Alston, Writerzen is doing really good with this. I get a lot of DM messages or get tags on all the discussion which is happening on Writerzen. that's when I thought to give a second chance. And during that also I found I usually do a testing for a little bit of time before I do any videos on this to understand the tool and everything. And I had a lot of questions and doubts and everything. And I emailed him, sent him a message on Facebook page in his personal profile to make him sure that he answers that before I did the review. I
Yeah, I
think
was a
he was.
jerk. I was a jerk. I saw the message like, man, this guy wrote too long. I have to reserve it later. I need to some brain power to answer this, and I'm not sure if I'm ready for that just yet. Because we were at the height of our launch, you know,
True.
we were like,
I
I
can.
was working on products.
I kept on saying Daniel post reply on AppSumo, Facebook, and everything. He was really active and message. I wanted to get his replies as fast as possible. Then what I did was I just mentioned to my all my friends in the community members group, and he actually went out and messaged him also to answer all the questions for my and one
Yeah,
friend especially did it for me. He came back with all the doubts and suggestions which I had and everything. That's the starting point for me to understand the writer zen, because when we see a SEO tool on space, we immediately can't judge a tool based on what is appearing just front of our eyes. We just need to learn founder's vision, what he was trying to accomplish. That, and for example, I had a huge discussion with Daniel on accuracy of all in title, because I believed something different and Daniel believed something different. So I just needed to find the right amount of what he was trying to do, then try to adjust and see whether this tool is for me or not. That's the point where I immediately purchased Writers. And still I'm learning all the potential stuff. But I think last month I used around 80,000 keyword credits on Writer's Edge, so already it is bringing me the value return for me. So
yeah,
it's a
that's
crazy
great.
journey.
Hey, you guys see, there's this guy. He's a professional SEO person, and a month he only used up to 80,000. I don't know why some guys still asking us to that we are not generous enough in terms of keyword credit giving out for lifetime deal, you know, the lifetime deal members. So there it is. We have a proof.
Basically I was pushing the limits. I was doing research for around 8 different projects if I'm not mistaken. And still I use Riderzen for bulk analysis of SEO, because it is really good with bulk analysis. We are able to import 3000 keywords. I wish it was more than that, but still 3000 keyword is much higher compared to other tools. For example, most we can do 500 keywords, something like
Mm.
that. And others also there. But when it comes to the main goal for me was that with Writers, and I was able to do 3000 keyword import, because I use several SEO tools. Writers and is not the one SEO tool I use Ahrefs, I use Get Keywords. There are so many tools in the market. No one has one tool to do all the stuff. Even though Writers does have a keyword module which is really good, but once you got familiarized with several other tools, does not matter whichever one which works for you, I use that. So when I was able to bring 3000 keyword import and do a all in title check, which is, I know all in title is not the full accurate result, but it's good if you have a bulk list and you need to get the bottom quickly.
Yes,
So,
yes.
and you wouldn't believe me, I've been using Scrapebox, I've been using domcomp.com. It's another web service similar to Scrapebox to do all the bulk analysis, comes to links and everything. I have several different one, and it's one of the most oddest one, all in title. For example, go to Google and try to do a title colon keyword and couple of searches, you get your IP blocked. That's how strict
Yeah.
Google nowadays when it comes to their search
Oh yeah, for sure.
parameters searches.
That's sure. I mean, so now I mean, you got a guy who's a pro SEO, and I'm sure he's probably appreciate by a large measure, you know, of how we have put into our technology to make sure all of that experience is smooth. You know, when you click a button and the tool does exactly what you told you to do, even with the amount of keywords that was given. I don't think people go into the length enough to appreciate how hard it is of a problem to solve.
True.
Really, No, I mean, technically it's not an easy problem to
True,
solve. Uh,
true.
if it is an easy problem to solve, there should be so many other tools right now in the market that could probably
No,
offer the same thing. You
basically
know?
when you're a new the customer base is divided from beginners to pros and everyone.
Mm,
When a guy, I'm not experienced, I'm not expert, I wouldn't consider, but I've been in the market on SEO for 10 years. My agency is solely based out of SEO marketing strategy. As I told Daniel, the reason, because I'm from Sri Lanka, I need to compete with international clients and everything. I can't just afford to go PPC on every single keyword. It's really tough job when I compare you. SEO is important. So when we are coming from experience where we know how difficult it's to get these kind of data, even though if it's not the fully accurate, I wouldn't never bet SEO competition based on just one single metric. That's not the way. We will go through those things in the event also as we move forward, the as the title mentions. But I just one single feature in writers in along with keyword importer, that's the convincing point for me. And if that works for me, all the other features are like a bonus when it comes to the writers. And everyone does not need to use every single feature inside a particular tool, but they just need to figure out how to adjust that particular tool for their workflow, how they do. For example, I have been using WriterZen for this 1 month. As I mentioned, I have used 80,000 plus credit. I have two accounts with WriterZen, but
thank you.
still I haven't used content module, because even though I love it, I know, but I have a different workflow. So every user will have different workflow, different strategies, softwares and everything. But if you are essentially having writers in, you can do pretty much bulk and in-depth keyword analysis. And also you can do content research, which even I highlighted when I created my video on writers. And you guys have gone even much more, added more features into that from the video. I think I need to update that and create it
Yeah, we
much
had quite a
more.
few. Actually, we had quite a lot. I think coming up on September 1st, there will be a sort of major upgrade in terms of the way we some of the small things we add. I think every week we have some small things we add on to the tool. I think
True.
every week when I look through the tool, I was like, oh, we can do this, and we discuss the team, and they're like, okay, cool, we can add this, and it will come together. But anyway, hold on a second before we go any further. Let's go into the so I want to kind of introduce everyone I mean, share with everyone the timeline, the segment of today, right? So the title of the talk today is basically some timeless principle, basically a core fundamental principle of doing SEO, things that doesn't and probably never change, right? It has been there since the beginning, and it has been here now. And so up going to the future, what is something that will probably remain the same, right? So that's the first, and then we can ask Austin to probably share with you guys a new use case. How he optimized his flow using writers and into integrate that into his workflow to utilize for his work, for his digital marketing work, and also for his a lot of the client work, right, that you are doing for your research and stuff. And it's great to have a guys who very much data focused, working and using our tool and kind of was able to utilize it into his workflow, and not only for just for him, but also for all of his clients. So that's a great perspective to have. So one of the things when I was discussing with Alston when we first began was that the timeless SEO principle. I wanted to discuss about that because uh, one of the things, and just like you, we were a SEO agency before we were starting building our own tool. And one of the things we realized over time is there's so many noises in the market, right? For everything that you're building, there's always this progression of things getting better over time. And as things getting better, there are more noises that kind of cover the main road, right? Like for example, if you look at SEO, um, a lot of times I think people forget about what is uh, the core meaning of a search engine, right? What does Google do? Google is a search engine, right? So the mission of every search engine is to help users, help connect user with the most valuable content as they search. That's it, bottom line. So our job as SEO is to make sure we have to tell Google this piece of content is valuable to the user, right? That is like the purest form, I think, of definition for any SEO fundamental. I mean, you can go in there, do backlinks, do content, do this, do keyword research, whatever. At the end of the day, if you don't deliver that values to the end users, Google at some point will know, right? If
Mm.
you write a really crappy piece of content and then you put up and it somehow get onto the top, but Google will be able to identify right away whether or not users, when they go in, are they staying, are they reading it, are they actually make sure that they are getting values from it, did they interact with your website, did your website really deliver that value to the users? And if it doesn't, you're going to drop your rank. So at the end of the day, are you delivering those values? So I mean, that is actually is the reason why I want to kind of discuss that topic with you today. And so I mean, funny enough, right? Alston has a course when he was studying for his own lifetime viewer group. He has about 4,700 members, I think about close to 5,000 now. And he, after a while running it, he realized one big problem is a lot of people doing SEO not knowing the fundamental of SEO. And so he was actually working on a slides himself to kind of do his own training series for his groups. And funny enough, the name of the training series is Timeless SEO Principle. How funny is that? So we came up with I came up with a concept. I was like, hey, I thought we really need to talk about some principle because I think that a lot of people should know about that. And then this guy coming here with a full-fledged, like I don't know, 500 slides of of training for timeless SEO's principle. So
It's crazy coincidence because I was like when Daniel approached me for a topic to talk about it, because as he mentioned, there are a lot of noise, there are a lot of outdated information in internet when it comes to SEO. Like they don't get updated, technology never stays the same, the process never stays the same. So when Daniel approached me and asked SEO, I asked him, say any topic you want on SEO, and I can probably do a session on that. And Daniel comes back in 2 hours and say, Aston, can you do timeless SEO principle? I was like, oh God, it worked out really perfect. I can do it, and I have
yeah,
already prepared everything for it.
that's good. So he's now coming there. So we are going to be the first people who hear his slides. And I mean, one of the reasons why I want to discuss about it because at the end of the day, Google is a search engine, and they look at your website in a data science, in the data point of view. They measure your website, they measure your content using data. They don't measure your content by having someone to go sit down read your content, right? But because they, at the end of the day, they processing billions of web pages a day, and what they have to do is that they have to build this insanely efficient machine to not only know what they are talking, what you are talking about, but also know that whether or not you are delivering that values to the end users. So there's a few things into it, right? At the beginning of time, where Google as a search engine were not able to kind of segment or extract the meaning out of your context as it is able to do it today, when like the natural language processing isn't as developed. Or they actually put a weight on backlinks, right? How at the beginning of SEO day, backlink was the king, right? If your website has this insane amount of backlinks from everywhere, all over the world, and suddenly your page will rank. So Google by then they define value equal to backlinks plus content plus something else. So all the other are not as, of course, not as big as backlink, but slowly over time, that machine progressed into something, a monster. The search engine was now able to sort of not only extract your idea, but also understand the sentiment of the ideas. I also understand to like what entity are you talking about, and by then segment out and analyze and figure out exactly what kind of meaning they're trying to do. So that's why slowly over time, backlinks is no longer the king, but content slowly become what's that next piece of of weight, on Google's sort of measuring system. So that's why now you see so many people are talking about content, and so many people are talking about tools that doing content, right? You got phrase, you got this outranking, you got a bunch of AI writing. But that's basically sort of the reason why I came into, our team came into the scene and say, I want to kind of get on this and really show people that you could do something in which add into your content quality in order to rank better.
And
So
also, just to add a small point on that is that uh, if you give a logical, I'm not going to use any SEO technical terms in this event when I'm talking. I'm just going to keep it logical for everyone, because I see we will have audience from beginners to expert level. So just to think from a logical point of view, keyword research and content writing is the only process which you should fully invest your time and do it. And when it comes to backlink, only a certain percentage of people on the internet actually know what backlink is and actually doing link building, backlinks, and everything. Not every single website owners in internet, can be a charity organization, can be a school websites.
yes,
Some of them even don't know how to do link building or what is
yeah,
link building. They don't know it.
yeah,
And the crazy thing is, you don't need to create links yourself. If you are producing enough content, you are making yourself a name, you creating a brand, you are delivering value to the users, backlinks will be created for you. It's true, but you can go a step beyond and create your own links or initiate relationships for backlink. But there is a percentages of backlink which can be automatically created for you, which will be much more higher quality, because you are getting someone from without even asking with him. That is what Google essentially suggesting SEO guys to do it. Don't go ahead and start paying guest post. Don't go and do join blog network.
yeah.
Rather than creating blog network and getting a backlink, you are actually making the real users, real target audience to make yourself a link worthy subject. So if you make a good keyword research and find ideal keywords and perform an excellent content writing, which we will cover in bit in more, and make yourself unique and authority, the last section, link building, most of the time it will happen automatically for most of you guys, and you don't need to even worry about that. So just wanted to emphasize on that.
That's a great point. That's a great point. I mean, the reason why Writers End was, I mean, so many people always keep asking us, oh, what's the great thing is give us some big backlinks analysis. I'll pay for it. But that's not our focus. I want people to focus on doing great keyword strategy, great topic cluster strategy, and then write a great piece of content with the right structure, with well optimized SEO. And you start from there first, right? You start from focusing on that 20% that will give you that 80% of value. And then after that, if you slowly you see the perform, and then you can actually come back and invest into link building, because you're not professional SEO person, and I don't want you to actually go out there and pay so much money for someone to do that, for you without you knowing also. Do the things that matter first. Matter for the search engine, matter for the users.
Uh,
Focus on
and
that.
And one more point, sorry to disturb.
No, no worries.
You don't need thousands of backlinks anymore. That is a key point. There are times, I shouldn't say this, but there are times like 8 years ago, I ranked top position for weight loss keyword. The just weight loss, I was ranking on the top 3 position, and at that time there was no link quality, it's just quantity. Whoever has the highest number of backlinks can rank on the top position for Google. It's simple as that. So all we need to do was open up Xrummer or Scrapebox and create a lot of links with any type of link. Or crazy days. I wish we go back to those days where the stars
Everyone
was
wish to
used.
go back that day, man. But if we go back that day, I'm not going to make money. We
True,
can't
that's
really
true.
create a tool like this. Nobody will use it.
That's
Everyone
true.
will just doing backlinks. And it's, like I said, Google will progress. You cannot fight with a huge machine. You have to align whatever you're doing with
True.
their progression, right? With their evolution. They evolve as
and
a
and if you
giant, and
think
so
if you and if you think about it, even though we consider Google as our number one enemy, if you ask any CEO person that I hate Google because of Google updates and everything,
mm,
but they are like a necessary evil when it comes to SEO. We just have to accept the fact and follow their guidelines and to do a better job. I'm not going to create another Google. It's not impossible, and it has been tried hundreds of times to create another Google
yeah,
if you follow one SEO.
yeah,
And even Ahrefs is not trying to do right now one. They are creating a search engine for that. So it's not never going to happen, personally.
yeah,
So we just need to learn from it. And crazy thing is, you don't need to be a pro SEO guy. You don't need to be a pro SEO person in order to rank nowadays in Google. For example, if you can find the right keyword with long tail, I'm not going to use long tail, just find the keywords which are really focused, intent oriented, and you just don't need thousands of backlinks. Just one, or sometimes without even having a backlink, you can start ranking for your targeted keyword
yeah.
if you've done all other set of process, which like keyword research, content writing, content optimization, and on-page SEO. That is more than enough for most of the
That
time.
is more than enough. Yes, I totally
And
agree with you.
if you guys are going local rather than international, then the job
That's even
becomes
tough.
really thin because
Yeah,
you're just
that's a
competing
really.
with the city.
I will share with the audience right now. Since the start of our tool, and we started about, 3-4 months ago. Well, by June 2nd. By now, almost by then, almost every day, I got emails and message from people saying that thank you for the tool and how it helps them to rank. Quickly rank on some of the keywords that they never
True.
thought, and they get organic traffic. They convert into sales, right? And so to me, as the guys who create product, that's like more than enough of appreciation that I ever need. And but it's what it says is, it basically says, if you have your own niche, if you have your own sort of specialization, and the kind of stuff you're talking about, your content, you know your audience. If you do all these things well, you research the right keywords, you optimize your content, you write a good piece of content, and you optimize your on page well, and that's it. You start from there first, and you see how it goes, right? And with our experience, I could tell you that it works a lot of times. I can't 100% say 100 times, because that way I would just be rich already. But yeah, so let's go into your slides. Let's we can go through a presentation from Alston.
Don't worry, guys. I won't bore you guys to death. Just a simple slides. Give me a second. Can you guys see my screen?
Okay, here we go.
Okay, cool. This is just important thing, timeless SEO principles. The reason we are doing this is like, you don't need to complicate SEO stuff. Most of the guys who are using writers in is not pro SEOs. Pro SEOs will already know, but just assume you are a small business owner. You don't care about SEO terms, you don't care about SEO technical analysis. You just need to do a good enough SEO in order to get the additional customers for your business. So timeless SEO principle is focused on that. It's not about specific tiny details. It's some of the core principle which you need to focus right now, which will safeguard you for the present time and also for future self. These are the stuff which is not going to change on periodic basic, but keep on being like a evergreen principles. And that is what I'm going to showcase right now today. Let me go. Just brief background. I'm not going to bore you guys with all the details. Basically, just a bit of background. I'm from Sri Lanka, Colombo, and currently I'm in India. And as I mentioned in earlier, SEO has been critical for me because I like to compete with international market. In Sri Lanka, it's like just $5 right now, just the daily income for a regular person right now in Sri Lanka. That's how crazy the low economic when it comes to Sri Lanka. So if I had to compete on some international clients with the client's budget at that time when I was doing, it's not feasible for us to go out and pay for $40 click, $20 click. If I compete on payday loans and everything, that's a different tag, like one for $25 a click. And these are crazy numbers. SEO has been the core important point. Yeah, because when you are advertising, you are essentially going after the customers. When you are doing SEO, you are essentially, your customers are coming to you. You don't need to convince them, you just need to show proof in order to make sure that works. So that is the reason SEO has been crazy for me. And we currently have around 3,000, 13,000 members throughout different community like Facebook and everything. We are discussed, learned all these things. I have left a link also. If you want, you can check it out. Let me go into the main focus of the event. First, for who is this event? Basically, anyone who's looking to improve understanding of SEO or improve their SEO and content marketing. The reason why, because drive hidden wins. That is what I like to call. These are not obvious wins for you. These are not obvious clear factor, because we get distracted in the noise, as Daniel mentioned, with all the stuff going on. We focus some of the basic stuff. That is what I'm going to highlight right now, and making sure whatever SEO effort you are putting right now, it's not only going to work in the present, but also it's going to be working on the future itself. Because you shouldn't know, for example, you put all the efforts and everything, and suddenly you are doing something wrong, it will go something negative on the future, which essentially will lead all your progress toward to the point can be wasted. So I don't want to make sure that happens for you. It can be for SEO, it can be for business. So these are principles which will focus on helping you onto that. And
Sorry,
how I can.
I want to add real quick onto this point here before you pass on. Is, you know, one of the things about SEO is that you won't see result right away, right? For every SEO person who do SEO ever, know that average amount of time to do an SEO project will be 6 to 8 months, right? If you do anything less than that, you are already an amazing sort of SEO person, right? And in 6 to 8 months time to build any project, you will experience a lot of noises, you know, a lot of things that tell you, oh man, this doesn't work, this is not, this, that. So it's actually essentially one of the other reason why I want to talk about this principle, because out of everything, principle is everything, right? It's always that 20% of effort that you focus on that will give you the 80% of values. And so that's why this is extremely valuable and sort of like things to be reminded constantly, knowing whenever you go in there, you will see your rank page gotta jump up and down, and yeah, you feel up and down, you know, but you have to focus constantly. Every morning, wake up, okay, today I'm still remember there's the principle and I'll stick to that. And so
and,
I just want to
and
add on that.
no, it's basically, you are 100% right. For example, when we think about it, as users, we get distracted a lot. We are worse than monkeys. Like whenever we see another tree, we just want to jump up on that tree and climb that one. So basically, when we see new tools, new methods, new ideology, new technique, tips, growth hacks, we just divide our focus into all these things. Just remember the fact, SEO is like just like cooking. Rather than focusing on what are the knife you are going to use, what is the knife you are planning to cut the vegetable, what your knife you are planning to cut the meat, first you need to have the culinary skills or the cooking skill in order to make sure that you know how to use that particular product as the best possible way. That's why you don't need to focus on what are the best tools. Even if you have the best tools, if you don't have the basic the logical component understand properly, it will still lead to a average resource. But when you know these logical components really well, you have a solid core foundational. Even though if you are not a SEO person, does not matter whatever the tool you are using, right? As in, it's a good product, but whatever the tools, even if you don't have any SEO tool itself, you can do that. And that's what I plan on highlighting in this session. So just to give you a basic insight on that. And How, as I told you, this Google is like a black box. It's not a white box where it's a coding terminology, where white box means we don't see what is happening inside the algorithm box. We just can predict by doing years of experience testing different stuff and saying, okay, if I do this on this much of test sites, this is the outcome. That is how we essentially figure out, and we can't do it. Essentially, big SEO tools like Moz, Ahrefs, SEMrush, these guys do yearly analysis on this and show all the principles and everything. So based on that and the technology process and also my personal experience, I feel these are the important things for you. And last, if you have any questions, we will address that also in the, if we have time and questions. Let's see. Let me go. Basically, when it comes to timeless SEO principle, I wanted to cover the three major areas when it comes to SEO, just content marketing, for example. I just don't want to focus on one single point because there are some core principles which you need to be making sure to do on future proof. So I will be covering keyword research, content writing, and link building. What are the core principles you need to be aware of it? Okay, let's get started. As I mentioned, I'm not going to be technical. For example, if any SEO experts are watching this webinar, they will automatically associate whatever I'm planning to say in a logical point to a technical term or a technical analogy and everything. But for the sake of, to make sure everyone understands what I'm going to say, I try to keep everything like as simple as possible in a logical way. Okay, let's get started. First one, keyword research. I can't emphasize the importance of keyword research because it is like the blueprint stage when it comes to doing SEO. For example, you are planning to build a house. Before buying resources, before hiring workers for constructions, before even starting the working, you need to have the blueprint solid, because once you start with a bad blueprint or not accurate blueprint, your final project is going to fail or it's going to not be the way you want. So that is the reason the keyword research is the most important component where you need to focus on it, because keyword research will carry forward into content writing, and it also will carry forward into link building also. So keyword research is the blueprint. Don't skip out the step. This is really important you spend it out. And also, as I mentioned, it leads to a dominoes effect. If I say that, for example, picking the wrong keyword will lead to wrong content optimization, will lead to wrong backlinks, and even if you rank on top position, will lead to wrong search intent or giving wrong customer audience for whatever the keyword you are ranking. For example, they might not be interested in what is the result you are looking to get, and Google can identify this stuff. As soon as they see a lot of people coming into your site and backing out quickly, it is a SEO signal for them. So making sure that you don't pick wrong keyword. First, important thing, don't directly jump onto writers in or any tools you use. For example, I see this mistake too often when it comes to keyword research. Someone have a primary keyword, they directly jump onto writers in and start researching from the keyword data itself. It's a wrong principle based on my experience. First, you need to understand the market. You need to understand the target audience. Like an example, restaurant. First, you are not going to see what are the best foods available in your city. First, you need to identify what are the best restaurant, which has the highest review, which serves which cuisine, which is suitable for you. After that only you will think about saying what are the inside in, what are the foods available, what are the for drinks, what are the things available. Similar to that, first understand your market. You can go out to internet, you can interview your potential target audience, go through the local and identify their pain points, see what are the problems they are facing, because you might be using one single primary keyword, that person actually won't be using that keyword, they might be using something completely different. So whatever the results we get from writers in will heavily depend on the keyword we are providing for it. We can't say fault for the software because it is just returning the data based on what we are feeding to them. So if you are feeding wrong data to them, if you are feeding wrong keyword for them, the data you get also will be incomplete or inaccurate. That's the reason you just first make sure to do market research, industry analysis, identify your customer pain points, then come to a tool like Writerzen and start and carry your keyword research.
Yes, I think this. I want to add on this one is, tools are only there as a tool, right? They're not human. Our tools are not going to help you to think, and make make sure that whatever you key in, we're going to put out the result that you need, right? It's I think this is the process. It's a thinking process, right? I think one of the things when I was training all of our staff was this. There's a principle in thinking process. You have to start with this blueprint. You have to start with a visualization of mapping in your head exactly what you are intending to do. What is your end goal? So you have to look at, let's say, if you take this, restaurant, for example, what exactly are you trying to do with this keyword restaurant? Because if a person search for a restaurant, you have to understand Google. Google identify things in terms of intent, right? If you search restaurant, that's like one single keyword. There's no identification of the intent. People search for restaurant, maybe it's people who want to understand how the business of restaurant works. Maybe some other people want to look for the best restaurant to eat. Maybe some other people look for the location of certain restaurant, right? Or the kind of restaurant. So then you have to add on other keyword to have the intent. And so then you have to identify with restaurant, what are the kind of intent you're trying to kind of target. And then you form that mapping in your head or put on a piece of paper. And from there you start slowly understanding, okay, I want to I want to do SEO on people who have the search intent to learn about the restaurant business. Then only you start slowly get into your research keyword, because the intent now define your strategy, right? The keyword restaurant business is very much different from the keyword restaurant alone, or it's different from the best restaurant in town. So the intent is completely different. So by knowing and understanding that very well in your head, you will be able to then create that mapping and slowly carry it on over into the end. Over the end is what? If you key in now restaurant business, then our tool will then give you exactly, okay, these are all the keywords within that intent. And from that intent, then you can slowly, okay, these are the keyword that is long tail, the keyword that is low in competition,
True.
these are keyword you can write about, and then you create your content strategy. So, like he said, it was a blueprint stage. If you do it wrong, you're gonna get the wrong result, right? Everything else follow this first step.
And
Yeah.
exactly, to be honest, Daniel exactly explained the next point, which I was going to explain right now, because it's search intent over search quantity. That's exactly what Daniel right now explained. For example, just because weight loss as a keyword as millions of searches, I'm not going to target weight loss. A person who's typing weight loss might be doing a spell check, might be doing looking for pictures, might be looking for a way to see charts, might be a way to looking for programs, might be a looking way to do exercise. So the intent, we can't identify what the users is wanting to do, what are the websites they want to see. We can't predict from that two words itself. So if I'm writing having a weight loss program to sell, I'm not going to target weight loss. One, it is going to be heavily competitive, we don't need to say that. But even if I'm able to rank for that keyword, then that's still not the correct intent for it. For example, if you have a keyword something like best weight loss programs for men under $200, you know that intent is super focused. Any person who's typing that particular keyword is looking for a men program and under $200, and he wanted to be best. Compared to that, when we try to go with weight loss, the intent is all over the place. So for example, even 100% comes from the search term best weight loss program for men in under $200. it still will be much more, conversation rate will be much more higher from the people who are coming from a term something like weight loss or fat loss or anything like that, because you're not going to serve the correct user intent. And this is one of the important metric you should not ignore, because I personally have seen this is has been the core of SEO search guidelines or search updates. All the keyword Google search updates are focusing on intent. It can be hummingbird, it can be NLP
Mm.
data.
Yeah.
Every single thing is focusing on search intent. That's why
You know,
I
I want to add on this too. Sorry, Austin, because
no
this is
worries.
this is really really great point. Search intent. Why is all Google updates are focusing on search intent? One of the reason why is that we getting better as users, as consumer. When you search certain things, it's no longer just a common terms, right? Majority of everyone who using Google nowadays are now searching with great intent. They know exactly what they're looking for now, right? So that's why there's a rise in this intent optimization within Google structure, and they have to
and
be able
and
to
uh,
identify this.
and
Yeah,
imagine you are putting hours of work or days of works on a content piece, but the guy who is coming to your website is not going to even wait for 30 seconds or 10 seconds to decide this is the content page is looking for it. He's just going to skip out on to the next search results and going into the second pages. If you think from a logical point of view, most of the time when we search, we don't essentially go to one single website. We like to open the top 10 results on different tabs,
yeah.
or come back, just put yourself into the searcher's shoes, I would say, and think from their perspective. So make sure that is the important point. When you're thinking from there, they essentially have seconds or maximum 10 seconds to decide whether this is the right article or this is the right content for me. So that is the reason where you should match your search intent keyword also, and it will make your job a lot easier on that. And the next point is, this is one of the another important one which get misunderstood a lot, is SEO competition. And I don't want to get into all the advanced or in-depth analysis when it comes to SEO competition, but I want to give a high overview view for you. First, when we say SEO competition, remember that is a short term goal. The reason we analyze SEO competition is because we want to figure out how fast I can rank for a keyword. Can I do it quickly? Will it take a lot of time and everything? That is the only reason we analyze SEO competition, because we want to find low competition keyword, which is good. But just remember, it's a short term strategy. What I mean by that is, the competition is not going to be staying static. For example, you find average keyword score, or you find these guys have hundreds of backlink. You find this as a low competition keyword, but remember that it's not going to be static. These guys are also going to continuously keep on promoting. These guys also be continuously keep on building backlinks. More new websites will come into the play. You are not only the person who's looking to get the market into. For example, you are a small business in a city. It does not mean that only the people who are actually doing the business right now is going to be your competitors, but new persons who are coming into your businesses, new businesses which is opening up, is also going to be a competition for it. So it will be keep on going on growing with competition. Search updates, for example, the honest plain truth is Google does not like search organic results, to be honest. That is the things, because Google, it's not an organization, it's not a non-profit charity. For them, it's a corporate entity, and their main source of revenue is PPC, paid ads, for in order to make sure that they get the money. Otherwise, search engine, they are doing all this crazy processes of running. You can't even imagine the processing power or the functionality they do on the back end to able to accommodate all the users around the world. So just remember, it's a profit entity, so there are going to be a lot of search updates keep on happening, which is for the good or betterment of SEO, but it also can work negatively for you if you don't follow the correct principles, making sure that you do everything buy the book and making sure that you don't go into gray hat techniques or black hat techniques or anything like that. Just stay on the right step. And these are not exact data. This is another important point. You are seeing backlinks from Ahrefs, you are seeing domain authority from most data
Yeah,
and everything. These are not the stats
they're
which
not
Google
accurate.
is
They're
using.
not 100% accurate. You
Yes,
know, everything,
that
even data from Google, I'll tell you, right? So even the data that you see on Google, they are always that estimation, right? If you have real-time data, it's always different, but they have to refresh because they carry a ginormous, insanely
true,
huge database. You can't have everything real time. So whatever
true.
they return in terms of data, it will always have a gap. There's always a gap of whatever you see as actual into the actual data, right? So but I want to say something along this line because your next point is don't ignore no search or low search keyword. And that's true. You know, one of the things is that if you see in our data, keyword data has a lot of keyword that has less than 10 search. It's not less than 10 search. If it's really less than 10 search a month, it won't appear on the keyword data database. You know, it always higher. There's always a higher amount of data. One of the key reasons why is Google tend to kind of lower the amount of search volume showing to showing to users simply because they are still an ads machine. They want the At the end of the day, they always want people to pay to Google ads, right? And so by doing this, they hide the actual search volume by a lot of keyword because a lot of these low search volume keyword have very low competition in terms of PPC because
And
not a
and
lot of
and,
people actually
and
know to run ads on that.
to emphasize Daniel's point is, if you go back few years ago, Google keywords search not key AdWords keyword tool was actually returning actual keyword search data. Like if we enter a keyword, we will actually see it's like 2,400 searches a month or something like that. Now go into Google AdWords keyword, it's like a percentage or a between like
Yeah,
a
it's a range.
between
They say by a
range.
range.
It's
Yeah.
range, yeah, it's like between 500 to 5,000. We can't predict which is the amount right now. That is
Mm.
from that. So actually they try to make this job really really difficult. That's the reason I mentioned
That's
competition.
why writers ends here. Use us. Sorry, just have to advertise.
That's a sponsored listing, right, for you
A
guys.
sponsored listing. Okay,
Basically
let's go. I think we are at 50. So let's move to let's go to the next point so that our users we can cover the whole slides.
so basically as another point also, don't ignore I search low search or search less than 10, as Daniel mentioned. The reason I'm saying this is, right, for example, who are watching the video right now, if I had to say go out and find what is the best restaurant in United States for this particular cuisine, not every single one of you guys will go to Google and type the exact same query, because everyone works differently. One guy will prefer to write short, another guy will try to prefer to use shortened keywords or different alternative keywords, another might write an exact question into Google, another guy might write 5 to 6 different keywords. So, and also there is a fact, Google alone process get over thousands of keyword data each every single day, which has been never seen before. So it's not just data which is already presented for you. There are keywords which is coming into database which are haven't been seen before also. Like every new single keywords are coming out. And also important, with the improvement of NLP, with the improvement of content based SEO and everything, even if it's not going to rank for that particular keyword, if you make sure to include that single related keyword which is actually targeted for your audience, it can rank for other keywords which you haven't thought of. It can even rank for keywords which you haven't even thought of in the initial process, because Google see it as a relevant content base. That is the reason I always say, don't ignore the no search or the low search keyword. Always keep in the mind, and especially this is true, for example, if you are a plastic surgeon, you don't need thousands of search, you just need one or two three clients a month to get the profit you deserve. So it's depend on the business intent also. And another point I need to emphasize in when I'm talking about this, don't ignore high competition keyword also. It's true, but because I see this mistake happening over and over and again, that people are fully ignoring the high competition keywords. If they are seeing a keywords and say, okay, I'm not going to touch on those keywords because that is high competition. But can think from a point, it's like a race. Until you enter into a race, you are never going to win unless like even after 1 or 2 years you need to be participating in order to make sure you win on the long run. And also, even if you're not ranking for that I search competition keyword, Google will see your site as a whole with different pages, different content created and everything. It will help you to create topical relevance. It will help you to create a layer of different content pieces where you write for, obviously, for the low competition keyword, but also when you mix with that the core component, simply because it is high competition keyword, I should not ignore a main keyword in my industry or a business, because that will have an indirect impact on it. And over the time, when you start growing and growing, you might even rank for some of the variations of keyword, and you might even rank for some of the main keywords. So don't
Sorry,
ever
this is a
ignore that.
sorry, this is a really great point, because I come back to my last webinar when we was talking about topic clustering and topic kind of relevance, right? And topic relevancy is one of the things is that you have to appear in front of Google as an expert, right? Telling a Google that, hey, look, I'm an expert in this topic. Whatever I say, I know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you keep talking about all the subtopic, which is like small and long tail keywords, but you don't have anything on this really high ranking, high competition keyword, Google is still gonna consider you as like, oh, guys who know something but not everything, right? So
Exactly.
having the piece of content doesn't necessarily mean that you will rank on that piece of content, but it is a way to tell Google that I know what I'm talking about. Look at all the links I built between all this topic and subtopic and pillar page. Look at all the content I wrote. You know, I wrote this 3,000 piece of content on the main keyword, not scaring that I'm not going to be able to rank. But then I have all this subtopic that I'm ranking, and I'm an expert of this. So it's not, sometimes it's not for the ranking, but it's for the overall strategy of you. You know, so you may lose one single battle, but you win the war.
And also, just we are just focusing on SEO aspect of it. Think from a user point of view. For example, a portion of visitors who are coming from organic results to your search web page, a portion of those will go to their root website. They will navigate different web pages, articles, and everything. And if it's something really important and you haven't covered that, he's going to leave the page and find an alternative for that particular information. But if you have written something for that, even if you don't necessarily rank for that keyword, you are still essentially satisfying the requirement for the same audience even without competing for that. So the benefits can be direct as SEO and can be indirect for the users also. So that is really important. And this next point is, don't ignore the secondary search engines. This is true. Google now has market share over 95 percentage on Google, that in search engine market. But that does not mean you should ignore Bing or Yahoo or other search engines, because Microsoft pre-built comes with all the Windows operating system. They will install Edge. They will make sure to include Bing as the default search engine for every single devices. They are not going to switch it to Google. But so, and these guys are really low in search engine market, and they are willing to help you. And there are, if you just sign up to Bing Webmaster Tool, they provide all the data for you, keyword research data, backlinks, because these guys actually care for SEO. So you don't need to invest too much effort into them. But if it's possible, take an extra minute or so to making sure that you satisfy Bing's
Mm.
requirement also, because you are getting essentially untapped potential compared to Google, you are essentially getting another traffic source which is able to help and actually can help you further. And if it's a regional search query, make sure that if a local search engine is popular in Google, make sure that you can use something like Baidu or Yandex if you are in Russia to improve that also, because that will also help. The final point I want to mention on keyword research is making sure localization in keywords. For example, if you are doing a keyword research optimization for international keyword, it does not care. But if you are a small business owner, like for example writers, and you are using to find small business, you are a small business in one particular city, you are trying to use writers and to find the keywords, you might not get good enough suggestions when you include your city name also into keyword, because there might not be even related data for that particular city location or something like that. So what I like to do is in this, I like to do a small act where I try to do a general research, or I'll try to use some big city in United States or something like that, and see what is the results I'm getting for that search queries and I get for that particular city, and I replace that city name with whatever the target city which I'm planning to write for that keyword. So essentially, even we don't get the same results, we are able to understand, find a similar audience set and use that insight into our content keyword research process and everything. And this will help you a lot, because local search works differently compared to international search. There are several different factors getting considered, and adding your search keyword with city name, state, and everything, that will also improve further on that. So these are the important things I wanted to discuss on keyword research. Do you have anything to add on keyword research?
No, just use writers and no, I think all the points that he was mentioned is really great. I mean, this is not something you actually find on a lot of the courses out there as well. These are the small little things that you could actually think of when you do it. And at the end of the day, remember, don't try to do too much. Don't listen to all this. I know exactly how it feels like. We went through exactly the same thing. There's something new trend coming in to do SEO, this, so many things. But always be reminded, the machine you're dealing with is Google, and you want to stick with the principle that will help you rank on them, right? Not like some other people trying to say, because nobody, you have to stick with this principle first, right? And do it really well. Stick with the basic and do it really, really well, extremely well. And I have not seen cases where you stick with the basics, you do it really well, and you don't rank. Really, if you really focus and invest your time, invest your knowledge in building all this basic principle really well, a good strategy and good planning and good content, you are going to rank. You for sure you're going to rank. Yeah.
And also just think about it. You don't need best SEO. You just need good enough SEO. That's more than what half of the users which are currently doing in your area in the market. So backlink is the difficult part, where you don't have all the control with you. There's a third party involved also. But when it comes to keyword research, content writing, you have 100% of control within your hands, literally. So if you put the effort it deserves, it will make your job easier. You move forward, which we are going to do right now is content, where this is the next important thing. For example, content is the centerpiece when it comes to SEO. There are so many new technologies comes, there are no many facades comes into the market, there are no many so many new media like video, audio, infographics, all this comes. But if you think from a logical point of view, text based content is has been on SEO for the entire long of the internet is basically built out with text. Simple as that. If it remove all the distractions, text is the core component. And moving forward also, even though video, media, everything will feel like the new technology, we like to watch video, but Google is a bot. Google is an AI algorithm. It's not a person. It's not going to watch a video and say, okay, I like this video, I'm going to rank on higher. It's not works like that. It uses the content. Even when you create video, it automatically transcribes the video to understand what that video is automatically talking about, what is the content they are creating based on this video. That's why when you upload image, you need to do use alt text, because Google can't see what is that image is about. They need to understand the text in order to see what is that image is actually about. That's why content is the centerpiece when you are creating content. So give the important it's deserved when it comes to content writing. And it's no longer just one or two three keywords. This has been one of the biggest trend change on SEO industry. Like if we move forward, move back 5 years ago, it's like I need to have one primary keyword, I need to have a couple of secondary keyword, I can have one or two LSI keyword or something like that. But it's no longer works like that. For example, you take any web page which is ranking for on Google, go into Ahref and put that URL into that Ahref and see how many keywords it's ranking for it. Most of the time, you will be not seeing one or two keywords for that page. You will be seeing thousands of keywords which that page has been ranking. It you can see hundreds of keywords. Some of the big pages can go like 10,000, 20,000 different keywords. That is the reason I told you, you just don't need to select one or two keywords, making sure that you make have create a full in-depth content on that particular search intent is important, because you are not only going to be ranking for the keyword you have chosen, but you also will be ranking for all the keywords which you haven't thought also, or which haven't discovered yet, or haven't had enough data in tools in writers. And just because it's showing less than 10 searches, that does not mean it's just getting 10 less than. Just to show that keyword itself, it should have received some sort of data metric from the backend to show that keyword. So just remember that it's important, and that is the reason you need to include all the different keywords, making sure that whenever you have subtopics, you have topic clusters. That is the important reason for the topic cluster, to making sure you touch upon all the different topic subject areas. So Google not only going to rank you for one or two keywords, but hundreds or thousands of different keywords will work for you.
I
Uh,
mean, I think I'll just add on to this point is, the last webinar I was doing, I was just show a very simple case, and I don't even know anything about indoor plants, right? I started that case just simply because I want to show it on the right on the tool, and with just simple, just one single use case, literally in half an hour, I could generate about 10,000 different keywords that you could actually write and may be able to rank quickly because of how low competition. Because you have your one top is a main pillar, which is the indoor plants. Then you create all the subtopic, and from subtopic you can create secondary subtopic. And with each of the subtopic, you could actually get um, like thousands of different keywords on a single subtopic. So if you really draw our map, you actually will be able to see a content strategy that you can just work on for a whole year. Like it's not even this, that's the amount of work for a whole year. And it takes you literally 2 hours to do, and 2 hours of planning, 2 hours of doing research, and you will actually see right away a content strategy that you will have to, it requires your working for a whole year to get through to that stage. So yeah, sorry, continue. I just wanted to add on
yeah,
that one.
that's exactly right. That is the importance of search engine. That is the importance of getting all the suggestions. You're either going to create a solid piece, one piece, or you're going to create a laser focused article for whatever they target keyword for it. And also, this is a little tip actually for people who are not doing it currently. Content is never a one time job, because you are thinking from the point, I have chosen this keyword, I have written the best content I can write now for this keyword, job is finished. It does not work like that. You need to be keep on updating your content. For example, there might be a new, if you are writing about restaurants on a particular city, there might be new restaurants which is opening up, and you might update the article. Or from
Content refreshing.
SEO
Yeah.
point of view, if you logged into your Google Search Console, if you go into Google Bing Webmaster Tools, you will actually see all the search queries which you received for that particular search. That data is completely free. You don't need to pay a single cent to Google or Bing. They will actually show you all the keywords which you are ranking. There you might find more hidden opportunities for you. So ideally what you should do is you should bring those keywords also into your content and making sure to keep on updating. And also, if you use writers in right now, you enter a keyword, that does not mean after a 1 month you enter the keyword you are going to get the same results. It
Yeah.
does not work like that. It takes the database fresh, and hopefully you can share some insight on how the data works on capturing process. But as a general process, when it comes to SEO tools, the data does not stay static. It's
Well,
always
well,
dynamic.
our the we get all our data from Google database. So whatever and Google database is not static. It constantly updates
Hmm.
almost daily. So whatever data you see today is not going to be the same data you see next week. So whatever you see but I mean, in some sense, it's there's some stability into that, right? Some keyword that
Hmm.
you already found, that search volume above a certain threshold, you will know that that's going to be the keyword that you probably can target. So, but at the same time, whatever the data you see is never static, for sure.
Yeah, that's the reason. You just need to re-update your content to making sure that it's relevant for visitors and also for search engine. That is an important part. You use writers in for that because it is have a good keyword module in content where you can specify I want to use these keywords. It will automatically check that keyword and say whether that is existing or not. So you can use this as a visual indicator for this. So you can get the data for that. And this is one of the most important, and I see people who are even not aware of SEO get putting so much effort into that. Don't care too much about percentage, keyword density, number of counts. I want to have this exact amount of keywords to be put in. I want to have this exact it does not work like that. It's true for a certain uh, percentage where you should have a mix of content, but when you think about creating a quality content, when you focus on solving users problems, when you identified your search intent correctly, you don't need to invest time into seeing that whether I have included these keywords, because that will automatically happen when you have created a good topic cluster report, when you have all the secondary keywords you want to use. When you keep that as a side point and you are emphasizing on that point, you will automatically start writing to into those keywords. So you don't need to count and see, okay, I need to have this. It does not work like that. There is
Actually,
no
yeah, I
clear.
want to. I sorry, I want to add on to this point too. That a lot of people was asking us why is it we don't show so many data that is appear on our content writing piece, right? Why is there not like a keyword? This is your competitor keyword. This is my keyword. What am I liking? What is he liking? Because that's to us considered as noise. It's just more stuff for you to think about. It's the stuff that actually distract you and take you away from focusing into writing your actual piece of content, right? I mean, a lot of time when you want to write quality content, and if you keep looking into your competitor and you keep looking for keyword they have, what is it going on, what's going on with them. Yes, it's good for you to kind of refer to them on your basics of understanding during your research process. That's why I put majority of the data actually on the outline to use section.
Mm.
I know you haven't used this part yet, but you should try check it out.
I will.
But for in terms of the way we structure content creator, right? A lot of people keep out, oh, why is it not like phrase? The way we approach is very different from phrase, right? My philosophy is all about focusing on your task and do it really well. So it's all about the first step: create your outlines, look through all the reference you need, look through all the data you need, and then you create that outlines well enough for you to feel confident that
Mm.
okay, this is the outlines I feel I'm confident about. I already carry the values in, all the contents is in there, all the headlines, all the points, and I that's it. I'm very satisfied. Go into keyword to include, then you can actually select. We pre-select some already, but we don't go into this insane details where cluster this keyword group together and all that. Can we do it? We can. But to us, that's more. It's just create more complexity. Not everyone are intermediate or advanced SEO person, and the goal is not to make life more complicated. The goal is to help you to focus on something that will help you to create that 80% of value, not more noise. Right? It's already complicated enough to do keyword research. It's already complicated enough to create outlines. It's already complicated enough to actually know what to include. So my job, our job as the tool, just I just want to focus on giving you that exactly what you need, and that's it. And then you focus on the third step, which just write a really good piece of content, man. And if you already have the keyword done, if you already have a good outlines, you know that the structure you put is already well optimized in terms of SEO. It's already 80% of the battle. You put that on and with a very well on page optimized, and then you put it on good timing, you refresh your content, you keep on building it, you're gonna rank. You
Exactly,
don't worry
exactly.
too much.
As you see on the title of the slide, it's always quality content versus quantity content, and I don't
Yeah.
need to say which is going to win, because we are seeing the progress moving forward. Just making sure you are educating the user, you are making sure that it's an authority on whatever you are writing, that will carry a lot of efforts for you. That is the hard work for you which has been already done for you. So that is important. And also, this is another point, it's not related to SEO, but always try to make yourself rememberable or unique. This is important, and this is actually I like something on Writers In, because you guys give a lot of thought process into UI. Because as user, we feel find this tiny little stuff really helps our productivity. We really like to differentiate yourself from a competitor. You be able to see that presence and something. It's the same exact principle you need to apply into your content creating process or your website style and everything, because it will have SEO impact. Like people are, if your people are visiting your site too often, that actually means the people who are spending time on your website is really low. And also competition wise also, people like to remember site in order to link back them or refer that site to a different person. If a person does not like a site, he is not going to share it on social media. You need to see the value of the content and also feel that website and the content flow is actual to his liking, in order to making sure he is going to do another step extra and share it is with friends and everything. So that is important. And the next point, this is also one of the most important question we get asked a lot: whether should I focus on skyscraper article, or should I go for laser focused for long tail keywords, these kind of things. Just remember, both of these are important. Both of these serve different, completely different purposes. Your skyscraper article can be focusing on competitive keyword, but essentially it will build out your authority of your website, and also can create linking opportunities from your other sites in the industry. For example, backlink to a well laid out authority skyscraper means just you are giving a full in-depth analysis on topic, can have much more opportunity to create links compared to something like a 500 word or a super focused long keyword, because the target audience search intent is different. So making sure you put enough effort into both of this, don't ignore one and just focus on others. Just make
Yep.
sure you focus on both of this to create your content.
Yep. That's why you have to pillar page and you have subtopic. Subtopic is where you go into specification, where you talk about it on more in depth and more details. Pillar page is where you do it very more generic, and but it's a very high more difficult sort of high competition keyword. But then when you link them together, Google will then see a very different picture from you. But if you just focus on laser focus, then Google see that you are everywhere. But where's the connection? You're talking about plane, snake planes. You're talking about indoor lighting, something like that. But what is the connection between all of that, right? And you need that big pillar page to build that skyscraper, to build the connection between all of that small little focus.
And
And those
also
are
remember,
very important.
And also remember, backlinks does not only come from external sources. It can come from one page of your website to another web page to your website, which
Internal
will be
linking.
considered as
Yeah.
internal linking. That is an
Yeah.
important SEO aspect of it. So if you create skyscraper, you essentially can link out your sub pages. When you create sub pages, you can essentially link out your skyscraper, which essentially boosting themselves up with the internal backlink. It will be really important for you guys. And another point is, this is already people know, make sure that your content looks really good on all the devices. It's not related to tools or anything like that. World is moving forward. Mobile is the most used device right now when it comes to browsing. Google has switched to mobile first indexing. That means make sure whatever the content you are creating or the website you're creating is visible for all the devices, because if it's not, you are going to get negatively impacted, already happening right now, or in future it does not save for you. And the next one is the important one, which we already discussed a bit also in the introduction, which is schema. Essentially identifying entities, NLP, all these crazy words. You don't need to worry about the technical definition. You don't need to understand the technical stuff. Just remember, it's just like address for your home or something like that. If I'm sending a package to Daniel right now, I just can't simply say I'm sending a package to Daniel. I need to include his full address. I need to include the city he is living on, home address, state, country. All these details need to be done. That is exactly what schema does for your particular web page which you are creating. It put all the necessary field. So a common format is established in order to making sure that Google displays your content specifically by identifying all the logical component in the content and showing for relevant search queries. So it's not crazy difficult. There are so many on-page SEO plugin which automatically does most of the job for you. Just need to do a bit of research onto it. There is no coding involved, but make sure that make sure that you're doing schema and making sure you're uh, mapping your article into the relevant schema to making sure that it's moving forward. And especially with audio searches and where AI searches, where it's no longer text based, so they use schema, data, and everything in order to identify and deliver better results. So that is important.
I want to add on this point. Actually, one of the things that we really believe as the tool creator go into future is one of the, one of the big update coming in September, and which I already went through in our last webinar, was the NLP integration.
Mm,
There's a reason why Google actually opened it, opened their API to public usage, because for the first time in the history of search engine in Google, we now actually able to see what Google see, right? Essentially, when you talk about natural language processing is now, it's when you give them a package of text, right, a piece of content, and you put that into the NLP machine. They have the example demo, right?
mm,
If you click on analyze, it will show you exactly what are the relation between uh, keywords that go together, and then they will actually identify for you what are the entity, what are the sentiment of that entity, what the sentiment of the
mm,
overall kind of content. That is exactly what Google is seeing right now when they processing your content, right? And to us, this is huge. This is going to be the future. I mean, you look at the progression of AI writing in the last 1 year. You look at the growth of conversion.ai. From a
mm,
tiny little company that was among the first was able to use GPT-3, and by now they already grow into a giant in that space. But at the same time, there's like 100 of different AI writing tools that just
mm.
flooding the market everywhere because they all use the same source, right? And it's GPT-3. But at the same time, you also see the appearance and the presence of some of new tools that are going out, and they all sort of advertising on the same things. So I said that before, and I will say it now again. AI writing is going to be a common commodity going into future. In about a year time, the cost will be so low that almost everyone will get access to it. And it will definitely go to a point where search engine will have to be able to identify whether this is AI writing or human writing, because it's important. It's important to know that is it really by a human written that would give value to their users, because you have to come back to the first principle of what Google is all about. It's search engines, and they head on to make sure all content delivered have to be the content that give value, true value to their end user. And if it's written by some AI, I'm not sure if that's going to be in their consideration list. So that's one of the things you may want to consider thinking of doing all this in future. But at the same time, like, coming back to that, we know, and I think we are very certain that NLP, optimization is going to be, it's going to play a huge part into your content optimization. Probably roughly this year or end of next year, you'll probably see a huge jump into that.
And remember, the important point is that it's just keep on getting better and better every
Yeah.
single month. So
Oh yeah.
you just can't think that okay, it can't identify AI content writing. It can essentially. They have the technology. They just need to figure out the way to use it. If they are building AI content, there will be a way to reverse engineer and find out AI content itself. I'm not saying AI content is bad. Create AI content as you wish, but make sure you have to do a manual check at the end and
Yeah.
making sure that is actually relevant for your audience. You
Yep.
have a human input at the final stage before going live. Just a small bit of advice on that.
Yeah.
And final point is social signals is your friend basically. This is like an important reason. Most SEO are still arguing whether SEO social is important. When it comes to SEO, there is no correlation. Some are agreeing there is correlation. Just even if there is not, make sure that your content is someone who would share it on their social media. If you see, so many people will create content, every single website will have social media share button, but people only will most of the time share some content really well, some content they don't like to share. This is the reason why you need to be unique. You need to be giving what user exactly want. You need to be creating something, making yourself unique. For example, Ahref articles, which is really good for SEO. If you go into every single article of their blog, you will see crazy number of social shares. So it's not just going to be helpful for SEO, because these social media message do get indexed on Google, which
Hmm.
will essentially will show as a backlink. Even if that's not considered as backlink, still it will give some sort of value from their
Yeah.
ad, because they are seeing all the users are sharing. And whenever a guy shares a particular post with his friends, their friends also see more users will come into the website and everything. So make sure that you also create socially shareable content also. So those are the things which on content space I wanted to focus on.
I want to add on to the last point. If you look at the keyword difficulty measurement that we have right now on Writer's End, and you'll see that there's a four factor that we actually take into measurement. Right, you got the keyword AdWord, which is the first one, and then you have social
Mm.
signal as the second one, and you have own title as the third one. And then you have backlinks as the fourth one. So then that's actually a four dimension of every single keyword. The most difficult task for us technically is actually be able to do that on a mass basis, meaning that
True.
if there's a keyword list
True.
go out, we'll be able to right away measure that number for every single keyword and go out to list. So I want to
True.
answer that a lot of concerns you guys were like, oh, how come this is not at the front? We're still trying to figure that out technically, because it's a very difficult kind of mathematical problems. It's like a computer process, a computer
True.
computing power, that it takes. So, but if you click on each keyword, you will see right away that it start
Mm.
loading. That's when we do the calculation. So you'll see that actually we quite like the way we calculate our keyword difficulty, because we think that it's quite complete, right? We measure a certain keywords by four different dimensions around that, instead of just one single parameter. By, let's say, Ahref focus very strongly on backlinks, but for us, we kind of try to take into angle of even social signal, right? Social signal is actually a huge thing going forward with how huge they are right now relatively to search engine. They are actually alone another kind of search engine already,
Mm.
right?
True.
So I mean, billions and billions of people. You can't really take that lightly. So whatever it is, it has to be included into our keyword difficulty kind of measurement. Yeah. So I want to kind of highlight on that before you move
Yeah,
to the next point.
that
So yeah,
makes sense. That makes
yeah.
actual sense.
Actually, Alston, sorry. One more is we already at 1:30. So I think we'll go quickly onto the last point. But for the use case, maybe because you already have Alston, I think you have a plan, right, to record that
Yes,
your use case. And I think that perhaps in once you're done with that, we could actually share to all of
sure,
our users, because I think we're kind of going over time. We're
sure.
just first time doing, so very sorry guys. But I think these are quite useful. I think it's quite useful knowledge even for you for beginner, for even intermediate, whoever are doing SEO. I think these are very useful knowledge to be reminded constantly. So yeah, please go ahead, sorry.
This is the last slide which we will be focusing. It's not related to writers, and most of the time, as Daniel mentioned, that backlinks it's not part of writers, and it's not going to be part of focus for them because their approach is unique. But I do want to give a full in-depth analysis for you guys to have all the necessary stuff. Just some important when it comes to backlinks. Don't be a spammer. This is important. I'm not talking about building thousands of auto approve links or something like that. Just think from a logical point of view. Whenever you are trying to create a outreach, whenever you are trying to create a backlink, there is a same person or a human person on that, and you are not talking to a bot, you are not talking to a AI, actual person. Whatever the proposition, whatever the message you are sending them, think whether if I receive something like that, will I respond to that? So always make sure that whenever backlinks are important, but remember humans are behind that, and making sure that you create give some thinking to that. If I receive a message like that, will I ever respond to that? If the answer is no, then you should not send that message to the whatever your target audience is. And also, don't focus on one time opportunity, make it a recurring opportunity. This is really important. For example, if you just want to get one single backlink and done with it, you are essentially cutting yourself from a potential partnership, you are cutting yourself from a potential connections with that, and you're just getting one term value on that. Don't make it like that. Provide value to their community, provide value to their website, provide value to their target audience, and make a relationship out of that. So you're just not creating backlinks for SEO purposes. It can be a recurring thing where they might be creating a new content piece, but since you have a really good relationship with them, they might even link out to you naturally. If you find that you have already a good enough, you don't need to reach out every single time. Or when you're reaching out to the second time, when you have the professional relationship with them, they will be more inclined to do backlink up for you guys. So make sure it's not one time, it's a recurring opportunities. And connections do also bring a lot of different opportunities. For example, this is an example, right? For example,
Yeah.
when when we talked, like Daniel, I was like asking for him to solve all the problems which I have with writers and doubts and everything. We would never thought of creating a event like that, right? Like this at that point, right? Never it would have worked.
Yeah, man. I was like, man, these guys really hate us. I need to explain for him.
So that if we think about it, logical point of view, only the reason Daniel invited me is because I provided value. I showed them I'm not another person who's liking to find a quick win. I'm not like looking for just something out of it and I'm going to leave. It's just create connection for it. This is really important in digital marketing. Don't just focus, see them as backlink opportunity, but see them as the people or connection, and it will lead to some incredible out opportunities for you. Can be partnership, recommendations, offers. The sky is limit, it can be anything. So make sure to follow that when it comes to backlink. And also consider all this page authority, domain authority, backlinks, all these are secondary. Don't keep them as the primary source when it comes to backlinks and everything, because Google does know that all the things are coming to all the, they have all the data for it. Relevancy always takes the first place when it comes to keyword research, when it comes to content writing, and also when it comes to backlink. For example, uh, there are various levels of relevancy. Can be like it's a site with the same topic as your site, they have all the various pages, or a website with a one page focused on your topic, or a website with just one paragraph on your topic. So making sure to get a backlink from the most relevant website, which is the old website which is focusing on, adds more power to your backlink campaigns and brings more value into that. So make sure you always prefer relevancy over the page of authority domain. It's also important, but mix it out, but give priority to relevance, because that is going to be the future, because relevancy is going to be the future for every single component moving forward. And also,
Yes, I think this is the point where it was repeated almost, repeatedly by both of us since the beginning of this conversation, right? DIPA backlinks, they are good, they are reference point. But going forward, as you see more progressing in the future, you will notice more and more that Google actually is smart now enough in order to really understand exactly the context of your content and able to identify how relevant it is compared to whatever the search intent you're trying to reach to. I mean, look at how crazy smart they are at the moment. They already know the correct connection between different words that has the same meaning, but it's completely different word, and they would actually show you the search result, right? Like
exactly
in Vietnam, in keyword search, there's in Vietnamese, they even know in different language too. Like in
true.
Vietnamese, for example, con lợn or con heo, they are all a pig, but when you ask for one, they will show the other. I mean, how
Exactly,
crazy it is.
exactly.
And that's just the beginning, right? So you can't, don't try to outsmart. I think one of the key things, don't try to outsmart Google, thinking that, oh, if I put all these backlinks or DIPA and all these things, this is the definition of a third party tool, right? It's Ahrefs, but it's not a definition by Google standard, right? And you should know that you are dealing with Google, and don't sort of, I think, even take Redizan, for example, don't um, like think that everything you see is going to be the win 100% all the time, right? You always have to come back to the root and the fundamental principle, and just to kind of always refer back to that point of view and say, okay, is this really relevant? Is this the right keyword? Does it really serve your search intent, and does it really give value to your end users? So yeah.
There is a saying like if you say who are your friends or enemy, I will say who are you, right? So that
Mm,
is basically what essentially happening in SEO, right? When we do relevancy, Google sees, okay, these are the guys who's relevant to their website, these are the guys linking to this website, this is the website which is linking to the website, these websites are talking in this topic, these guys are covering this topic, which they can identify. They have all the processing power, they have all the technology with them. Moving forward, it's just going to keep on getting better and better. So to be future proof, make sure that you are doing it right now itself. It might be not giving the full benefit for you right now, but in future definitely it will help you to making sure that you are future proof compared to your competitors. So making sure that, and I already explained the topical relevance, it will create a topical relevance not only in
yeah.
your content but in your linking website also. It will create a topical relevance for you. And don't focus too much on blink velocity, all these things. Just keep it natural, and making sure that quality will always win quantity. You don't need thousands of backlinks, you don't need hundreds of backlinks. When you have a solid keyword research, content writing, content optimization, on page optimization, 75 percentages of the time, that is more than enough for the most cases. Only for the rest of the percentage you have need links. Also for that you don't need thousands of links unless you are trying to compete on really competitive keywords. But if
Yep.
you are going for low competition keyword, just one or two single high quality link, that is more than you want. So that is
Yep.
really important. Always
Yep.
focus on quality, not quantity. And
Yeah, one thing I want to add before he's end. One of the things I strongly believe, actually, in all the things that we do, right? Rome doesn't isn't happen in one day.
true,
So is everything quality on this world. Like just the way we create rather than. I mean, we put effort, but it's a progression over time. It's every single day knowing that there's something to improve and you improve on that, but you focus on the quality. And just like SEO is probably the same thing, right? Don't rush things. Don't rush quality thing. You cannot rush something into quality piece of content. It has to be a natural progression, and you take it one by one. And you should always remember it's a 6 months progress. And if you do everything on the basis and you focus on quality, you focus on of all this fundamental, and you focus on just making sure every day you make that little improvement. At the end of the day, at 6 months, you turn back, you'll see that it's a huge, amazing progress. And the same principle goes both ways. It goes that way and it goes the other way.
true,
Your side isn't being destroyed in one day. It's the progression over time. And if you slowly divert yourself from that quality and you don't kind of come back into building your continuously kind of growing your content and continuously growing the quality of your piece and update, refresh your content, Google will know. But it's
true.
not one day that you will lose all your ranking, but it's a progression over time. It's a principle I think I follow even in my life, in my training, in all the work that we do. It's just every week we try to make something better. Every week we try to make something real. We don't try to rush into that, oh
True,
man, tomorrow it has to be, we have to be the best tool out there.
true.
But focusing on every single decision every day, and you just do it right. It works for us. It's
Yeah,
been working, and yeah.
basically that is the right move. For example, the reason we are highlighting all these points is because you might get fed up also saying, do I need to worry about all these things? But remember, if we are putting some extra step or effort into one of these possible options, factors, principle, these are compounding effects, so it will keep on adding into that effort which you are putting, and it might will be slowly getting into that. When you create multiple article, when you create multiple content pieces, these will be just compounding in your benefit which you are getting in return. So always feel free to put that extra effort to make sure that you give a additional option for Google to decide why they should rank your website over a competitor. So when you're coming to Google, essentially when we think from a logical point of view, you need to give solid enough reason to Google to remove which the website which they are thinking, okay, this is the perfect website for this keyword. You should give a solid reason for them to remove them and put my website on the top spot in the Google search engine or any search engine. So you need to be providing all the possible options for them to make the choice process easier. So that is where keyword research, content optimization, writing, SEO, all will come into play. So just remember, everything counts, even if it's a really small one. That's it. I
Cool.
think I took too much time. Really sorry, guys. Hope it
I think
was.
it's the love of teaching. I think it's in you, man. It really is. I mean, I can see the passion. That's what I mean. I was really sorry, everyone, that we went kind of overboard on time. But I mean, I tried. I didn't want to kind of stop him because I know when I first talking to him, I can feel there's a passion in him trying to share knowledge to other people. Particularly everything he does and the story. I mean, I wish we have more time. We could share a little bit on the backstory of what drive him into doing this, starting from a point where he was actually an entrepreneur, before in the past, but at some point his life is a life-changing event, and here it is today. His life mission is completely different in service of trying to help as many people as possible to understand and know more about SEO and how to really accomplish things that they set out to do. So really appreciate Alston. I think we go into a really quick Q&A. If you guys have any questions, we could open floor to answer. But I know we already kind of overboard until the time, so completely understand if we're not. I was actually planning to take out like 10 minutes to showing some of our updates, showing our small little updates that we did. But I guess I'll do it on maybe tomorrow. I do a quick recording, so I send over to
And
you guys.
and also for all the other guys, I have already done a full in-depth writer's end when it was initially launched. Now it's completely outdated. I will not
It's
advise
outdated.
you guys.
Don't
Yeah.
watch it.
But I do have a plan because I'm actually working on keyword research course. After essentially what I'm doing right now is talking the essential logical component. Once you understand the logical component, only you should be using the tools, not the other way around, because you need to
Yes,
know the
totally agree.
principles. So
Okay.
I will do
Then
updated
you
and
will
share.
see the result. Yeah, you if you understand the principle, then you do use the tool, you'll see the result, right?
Exactly.
I mean, I've seen it works, right? It makes me feel very confident because I've seen it work with so many people and a lot of people who've used our tool and rank and get organic traffic and get to their goals, you know. And
True.
I really want to I want all our users succeed and probably are able to do the same thing. So I hope all of this talk kind of helped you to see another point of view on onto our life, you know, our tool. It's not, you see, one of the things I realize is that I think founders don't give enough time to talk about themselves and their team, right? Majority of our users know us just on our tool. You use the tool, you get it, and you're like, oh, well, you sometimes you get some bugs. You're like, oh, why is it this way? I need to refresh. That's it. That's the only communication kind of we have, right? But I think I would like to have I think I would like to have more of communication where you would get to know a little more about us, the people who create the tool, the team behind it. You know, what's our aspiration? What do we want? The philosophy behind doing the tool. By doing that, you actually have a better sense of who we are and why we do the things we do. Okay, so we have one question. Uh how would you update a 3,000 word article that was ranking well but it has lost traction over time?
There are two reasons actually. One, if whatever you're covering on that article, if it's outdated, for example, if you are talking about camera roll camera, which is gone out of the way, it's now digital cameras. There's no roll-based camera. If it's a product which is lost interest, then there is no point on updating it at that particular content base. But if you're talking from a perspective where your content is still relevant, but you're losing the visitors or the search amount visitors, I suggest you the point which I mentioned on the presentation. Go into the Google Search Console if you're already using it. Log into your Bing Webmaster Console and see what Google see as the relevant keyword for those article, because you might have mistakenly took a wrong intent keyword, so it might be due to that. So we can't totally say for sure without seeing the actual keyword data and what does the competition look like. But just head over to the search console. If you see the related keywords, making sure that you include that or try to change the topic to a much more relevant keyword, which will help you to find more relevant audience for the content.
Yeah. So now the second question, what is the fastest and easiest way to understand the search intent so that we can get the right keyword? I think search intent divided into a few things, you know, it very depend on the few nodes. So for one, you identify your niche and then you have that keyword funnel, right? The
Uh,
first is,
just
sorry.
uh, just just to add on to this point, I actually have an easy way to identify search intent
Oh,
really
okay, that's
fast.
great. Good.
I
Yeah.
actually just paste whatever the keyword which I found or thought directly into search engine, and if I will see what are the top 10 ranking which is currently ranking for that particular keyword you entered, and open up each single web page and see what is the content they have written, what are the pieces we have written. It immediately will see, okay, when this search intent keyword is typed, this is the content essentially Google and both the audience is looking for. So I, rather than going from a tool based approach, we can easily reverse engineer from what is already ranking on Google, so we can get
Mm.
that data directly from there and copy and understand the search intent. Sorry, you
So it
can
take a bit
continue.
more time. It takes a bit more time, but it's definitely give you a very quality search intent actually. Because what is search intent? What is search intent is when you search that keyword, Google will return to you the result in which the most people read. right? I mean, that's, I guess I make that this definition quite clear, right? So whatever Google decide to return is what they know other users find this piece of content very useful. So if you go on to each of those and you read, and there must be, and you should be able to find, there's a common denominator in terms of the intent behind it. That's a great way to actually identify the very quality
And you can
search
use
intent
this
for
within
search.
you can use this within writers and also because they do show the top 10 pages for the keyword, so you can essentially
Yeah,
click on it, open on the external tab and see what is the content. Easily you can identify
yeah.
the search intent for that.
There's another things in which was in our pipeline, but product development was for is to help users to kind of develop their own funnels. There's informational, there's navigational, and there's a
Yeah,
transactional type of keyword. And so usually it's go by that funnel. You know that when you develop a keyword strategy, it's not just like you rank a keyword and people go in there and they right away make a purchase.
true,
No, there's like a, you know, you first
true,
they want to know what this means. So they click on your website, but then they'll click on a several other. So if you click on their website, it's more probably informational type of keywords because they're trying to know what they are looking for. And after they know what they're looking for, and then they maybe come back, and then they go to search for another keyword in which have a more buying search intent. And if they
true,
search for the buying search intent, they then see you also ranking on that. There's a very high chance that they will click on yours, and then they start to
true,
consider. Now go into the considering phase, and then from there they will probably go into other article that you have internal linking into that to kind of, they want to make sure you are the expert, you know what you're talking about in that certain topic, and only then maybe they will make that decision. If not, they probably go into other website and they
exactly,
continue to do their web content, and only after they finish their whole knowledge figuration, then they will come back and then maybe they will buy from yours. That's a whole journey. The journey is everywhere. The journey
true,
is not, oh wow, I get in there and I read it and I buy it, right? And I think that's a very big kind of bad misconception a lot of people make nowadays, is you really have to draw out a really well thought funnels in which you want to lead your, guide your users into knowing. So
true,
you not only have to be an expert of what you're talking about, you also have to be very smart in the way you guide them, not only informational but navigate them into your buying sort of money side, right? So
exactly.
that's another way, in which I probably, once we have that launched, I will do, we'll do a probably a more in-depth guide into that end. You know, we have so many things requests, and we have just way too many things planned in terms of product development. But majority of what you see nowadays is improvement on our content creator
True.
piece. You know, we will really want to make sure is that. Did you know that Google is starting to rewrite title tags in SERPs? What are your thoughts on this? Will keyword golden ratio still be relevant? Yeah, I heard about it. Yeah, I was asking.
The basically Google tries to see whether that is relevant for that particular search query. For example, it will see whether that title query is relevant for them. If they feel from the schema, from the NLP, that they think, okay, this text is not suited for this intent, they will try to pick some other content or H1 H2 or something like that, which is existing within the content base, and shows that. And it's also experimenting, they are still experimenting. If you
Yeah,
follow John Moore on Twitter, he shares all these updates, like he shares we are experimenting on this specific component and everything. Just remember, focusing on the proper structure, focusing on proper search intent and everything, it will keep on improving. Even though if it's giving indirect one, for example, might be it's not related to search engine. If we are using a SEO plugin, making sure that it uses a right meta title or description, it's correctly properly displaying it on page source code, it does not have compatibility issues with themes and everything, that also plays into play. So make sure that is fixed. If that is not if that everything is correct, then see into the contextual side of it and see what is the problem is it facing, what are the content based optimization or intent, is it correct, what the competitors have written, and see if you can make any adjustments to that, it shows up in search engine properly.
Yeah, and also remember, still experimenting. There's only a few hundred of the pages that are showing up like that, and there's a few people talking. Google does this all the time. They have experiment something,
Exactly.
and then if it
They
doesn't
does it
work,
a
they take
lot.
it away. They does that all the time. Fundamental is always remain there forever, but noises like this will come and go, come and go. It's like trend. I just
True.
don't want you guys to focus too much on trend. Trend will always go away. Just like design principle. I wish I could talk more about design principle and how we design our tool and what kind of drive ourselves behind that. But that probably in another talk, because I mean it's fascinating, really. The last question: how important are keyword cluster when writing an article on our service page? Should we always look at cluster? Well, sorry, I'll answer real quick. I want to clarify this a little bit. So keyword cluster on our tool essentially is basically helps you to group keywords that have very high chance of ranking together in an article, meaning that usually you will see, if you search a certain keyword that have very high relevant sort of in terms of meaning, usually serves the search engine will return results that are very similar together, right? For example, if it's web design and then web design, the good web design in USA and web design USA, they tend to have similar ranking. So our
Yes.
tool helps you to identify these keywords, and helps you to kind of show you to group them together, so that if you write an article, there you have a high chance that if you rank one keyword, you'll be able to rank the other keyword as well. It saves you a lot of time and effort in terms of doing SEO and also getting more search and for more organic traffic. So for that, yes, you are in that definition, keyword cluster is always good. For you, if you when you do SEO and you do writing an article on service space, should we always look at cluster? It's not a must things to do, right? But it's something in which you always should consider while you start writing, because it will save you so much time later on when you start ranking for that keyword. You want to also have other keyword there too. It just saves you more time. You don't want to have like write 5 different article for 5 different keyword that actually could be ranking in the same article. So that's essentially is keyword cluster. I want to clarify on that.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
that makes sense, because if we think, just stop for a moment and think, all the questions which we get is essentially the core principle which we discussed on the slides. That shows the importance of understanding the small core principle rather than focusing on the tool, because everything comes back to what we discussed on the timeless principles. Because if we understand the core component correctly, all the other process will become really easy for you. Even clusters, uh,
Yeah.
subtitles, sections, and everything. Just try not to over complicate any of the tasks, guys. That's the only thing I can give you an advice.
Yeah.
For example, try to keep the process simple. You should focus on creating better content, writing article. Try to make that flow much easier. Don't overcomplicate stuff. Just keep it natural. Make sure to use the core principles and follow that. It will be much difference. Rather than worrying about every single thing which you don't want, you should be ideally focusing on the main business and everything. And even if you're hiring a digital agency, make sure that you are know that all the crew principle by your and also, so whenever they report something back to you, you can always make sure that whether they are following correct principle, whether they, you don't need to know SEO for that, but you need to have the right knowledge in order to check on that and see whether they are doing good enough job or not.
Yeah. Right. So I think that's it. We are at 2 hours mark. I can't believe we go this long, but it's a great conversation. I've always loved talking to you, man. I wish we have more time, and probably we'll invite you back sometime later where we have more casual chat. So I really hope you guys enjoy this type of webinar. I like to do things a bit differently. I want to take it out of the focus of Writer's End a bit, because that would be where I do a lot of more very focused webinar purely on the tool itself, right? But this is more of like a cool casual chat. You guys get to know us. I want to share some knowledge, invite some people on the show. I really hope you guys enjoy that, and hopefully we will get this to do this more often. And yeah, thank you all. I really appreciate it. If you like, please check out Alston groups. Search him online. You'll see alstonantony.com. And I'm sure you'll find him super helpful, and he share a lot of knowledge and everything. So please do, and remember, use writer's end.
Thank you so much.
Sponsorship for these videos. Thank you, thank you, Alston. We appreciate
Thank you so
everyone
much,
to
man.
stay this long with us. Have a great day. Please stay safe out there. Please stay safe.
Take care, guys.
Bye, Alston.